I use ball-headed tools in many sizes to make a variety of textures. They're inexpensive if you search online. I like to squash a circle of clay rather than use a rolling pin. This is about 5mm thick. I'm using a large ball-headed tool, pressing in and gently rocking it. This is a good starting point for many textures. You could use different sized tools to add interest. My aim is to give you starting points for your own texture exploration. Find some simple tools and see what marks you can make. You may need to adjust the dips if you want them to be circular. The spacing of the dips can give a very different texture. Again, using different size balls or more than one size will give a different pattern. Have fun experimenting. Of course, you could add more than one texture to a piece. But here I've filled the whole space. Again, adjusting the texture to tidy the dips. This process can be quite meditative and relaxing. There's no right or wrong way of making textures. This little wooden knife is a useful texture making tool. Adding ridge texture to the little dips starting from the centres. Pressing the tool in or dragging it from the centre gives slightly different looks. Here I'm slightly dragging or cutting with the tool. You could leave more of a space in the centre. Add a second row of ridges. Or even a third or fourth if you have room. Or a different texture altogether in the centres. If you don't have a wooden knife, try using one from the cutlery drawer. The trick to getting this even is to move the knife around so it's always at a right angle to the edge of the dip. You can always add dips within dips. Here I'm using a smaller ball-headed tool, moving in small circles in the centre of each dip. As with the other texture, I'm using the knife to create ridges, this time using the central crater as the starting point. If you're working with ceramic clay, these textures can be an interesting base for pooling glazes. If you're working with air dry clay, there are lots of paint techniques you could try. You could use coloured resin to fill the dips, or maybe finish areas with metal leaf. Of course, the colour combinations of acrylic paints are endless. Different clays may end up with slightly different looking textures. Or just the way you make marks, but that's what makes it yours. After texturing around the central dips, you may want to tidy them up. This is something particular to me, but I don't like leaving flat areas. I always texture them. I often use this sponge texture on blank areas to finish off a piece. This is created by randomly poking the clay with a tiny ball-headed tool, or you could use something like a blunt needle. Again, you can make a similar but different texture with a slightly larger tool or combination of sizes. These textures take a while to make, but that's part of the joy of them. Have fun playing.